Mercedes had a rough F1 season in 2022, and things aren't going so well in 2023 either.
How was your evening?
One of the worst days in racing.
Lewis Hamilton's chances of winning the championship are getting lower, and the pressure is rising.
We really got to push massively to try and close that gap.
After the first race of the 2023 Formula One season showed that Mercedes once again couldn't make a car that could win the championship, fewer and fewer people in the F1 world think something big can change. More on that later, but before we get into the video, we'd like to let you know that we're doing a giveaway when we reach 1,000 subscribers. It's going to be a $100 gift card to the Formula One store online. To enter, you just need to subscribe and comment on each video until we reach 1,000 subscribers. Now, let's get on with the video. In 2014, when turbo hybrid engines were added to F1 cars, Mercedes took the sport by storm.
World champion! I can't believe it!
They won 8 straight Constructors' Championships, and Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg won the first 7 of those titles.
But the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch!
Even though Verstappen's first title in 2021 showed that Red Bull could compete with Mercedes, it had already been decided that radical new design rules would be put in place for 2022, which could change the order of things. When the Mercedes team showed off a new Zero side pod design during pre-season testing, most people thought they'd once again outsmarted their competitors, who had more traditional designs and would start another run of dominance. So it was a big surprise when they found out that the new rules had caught them off guard and that they were having more trouble than any other team with porpoising, which is a bouncing effect caused by the way the 2022 cars were made because of the new rules.
You see the floor there sparking, but not from the point of the floor that we normally see.
Almost every team had problems, but Mercedes were the worst, and they hurt their W13's performance and made the drivers the most uncomfortable. During the first half of the season, when Red Bull and Ferrari were fighting for wins, they were a long way behind. They were already out of the running for the championship before the halfway mark.
It's the first time we've driven down the straight without bouncing. We still have some bouncing, but it's way better.
Mercedes did a fantastic job making their car better. They beat Ferrari often and came close to winning more than once, but they couldn't celebrate until Russell won the second-to-last race of the season in Brazil.
George Russell, you are a Formula One race winner.
The win seemed to show that Mercedes had solved their problems and gave the team and their fans hope that they would be back in title contention in 2023. Mercedes' performance getting better in the second half of the season may have been the worst thing that could have happened, since it made them decide to stick with their much talked about Zero side pod idea. During the winter, there was cautious hope in the team's factory in Brackley. Wolff and his drivers were cocky because they still thought that their idea had untapped potential.
Is it going to be as fast as it looks beautiful?
I hope so.
Wolff said at the launch of the W14 on February the 15th that they might start the season behind Red Bull, but he was sure that the car would eventually be competitive enough to fight at the very front of the grid. Russell left Bahrain, where testing and the first race took place, to work at the factory in the UK on improving the car. He was sure that a lot of progress had been made when he went back to the Sakir circuit, and he was right. But then nothing good would happen anymore. After 3 practice sessions, qualifying and a race, Mercedes could see that their idea was wrong and that their chances of winning the 2023 title were already over. Before the Bahrain Grand Prix, Toto Wolff, the head of the Mercedes team, said that he didn't think Mercedes' unique car idea would work. And Wolff was right. As it turned out, when Lewis Hamilton and George Russell crossed the finish line, they were 5th and 7th respectively. The fact that Fernando Alonso beat them in his Mercedes-powered Aston Martin, which came in 3rd, made it hurt even more. But it looks like Mercedes will change their car for 2023. Before the Bahrain Grand Prix, Wolff said this: "We gave it our best go over the winter, and now we all just need to regroup, sit down with the engineers, be totally non-dogmatic, and ask what is the development direction we want to pursue in order to be able to win races. And George Russell supported Wolff's comment. "The fact is we didn't have enough performance on the car," Russell said after Sunday's race. "Today's probably back to reality and we just need to get back to the drawing board and keep on working."
One of the really lovely things about working as an engineer in Formula One is that every season casts up its own challenges.
Well, a familiar face is back at the Mercedes HQ, which is a small bit of good news in Brackley. Motorsport Italy says that James Allison is getting ready to come back to the team. So, here's a short history of him for you younger F1 fans who haven't heard of him. After getting his degree from Cambridge in 1991, Allison joined the Benetton Formula One team. He worked in the area of aerodynamics, and after a few years at Benetton, he became the head of aerodynamics at LaRousse. He then went back to Benetton to do the same job.
Yes! Michael Schumacher takes the lead in the Grand Prix of Europe, and the Benetton team go berserk with delight.
The big jump came next.
Oh, they're so close. Yes! Fantastic, and the crowd has gone berserk.
He moved to Ferrari in 2000 and stayed there for 5 years. We think it's safe to say that the Scuderia did well during those 5 years.
Now he takes an unprecedented 7th world title at the team's 700th Grand Prix.
Allison went back to Benetton, now called Renault F1, in 2005 and got a job as the company's deputy technical director.
Behold, the new world champion.
Allison took over as technical director in 2009. In 2011, Renault F1 became Lotus Renault GP, and in 2012, it was just called Lotus. In May 2013, Allison quit this job with the Lotus One team. Then he went on to work for Ferrari as chassis technical director and then technical director until July 2016. Because his wife died on July 27, 2016, he quit this job and stopped playing sport. Then on February the 16th, 2017, James Allison's new legacy really got going. He became the first technical director for Mercedes AMG Petronas.
Last year's car was the quickest one out there. It won more races than any other, and it was of course the championship winner. But last year's car would be utterly hopeless. It would be blown away by this one.
James Allison has helped Ferrari win championships with the F2000, F2001, F2002, F2003 and F2004 cars. Then he helped design the R25 and R26 cars, which Fernando Alonso used to win both of his titles in 2005 and 2006. Then there were the W09, W10, W11 and W12 models, which won 4 of Hamilton's 7 world championships. James Allison has made some of the best F1 cars ever. He's just as good as Colin Chapman and Adrian Newey. So you might wonder, why doesn't he work on F1 cars anymore?
You have to get every part of it in good shape in order to be able to have a competitive boat.
Well, Ineos owns a third of Mercedes AMG Petronas, so Allison was put in charge of the Britannia America's Cup team as Chief Technical Officer. From a technical point of view, he was in charge of Ben Ainsley's 37th America's Cup race.
Had a massive regulation change for this year in aerodynamics particularly, and that's changed the complete shape of the car.
The technical side of the new rules for 2022 was given to Mike Elliott. Even though Elliott has done well with Mercedes, his future with the team may be in doubt if Allison comes back. Allison is well liked in the paddock, and during his time with Mercedes, he was a big part of the team's success. If he came back, he might take over as technical director. But it's important to remember that these rumours haven't been proven and we don't know what will happen next. Mercedes hasn't said anything official about the situation, and it's possible that Elliott will keep doing what he's doing now. Fans will probably be glad to hear that Allison will be back. While the old technical director was in charge, Mercedes won 4 Constructors' Championships. It's been said that Allison had something to do with the changes Mercedes will make for the Imola race in May. There is a lot of pressure on Mercedes to make changes. And after a bad performance at the Bahrain GP, the team is hurt and disappointed. In an official statement, they said that they know their fans are also hurting and upset, and that their support is very important to the team's success. They know that the situation is not ideal, but they're focused on doing what they can to catch up with their competitors. They're working quickly to make a plan for getting better, and they ask their fans to help them fight back. So what do you think? Will Allison coming back change things for Mercedes? Let us know in the comments down below.